So, with that in mind, I think it's time for a little bit of fantasy fumble. So, for all the people who are new to this podcast, potentially, I don't know who listens to this. Fantasy Fumble is the segment where I try and make the worst possible feud in the world for the particular wrestler of this episode. In it, it's either going to be the worst feud possible, or it's going to be the weirdest one. Whatever I can think of, and however thing it could be. I already said thing of the thing of the thing. Jesus Christ, my voice is going weird today. So, with that in mind, I think it's time that I won't hold you up any longer. We're already at over the 30-minute mark, so I'm going to get this done. So, without further ado, ladies and gentlemen, 3, 2, 1, fumble. Let the dumpster fire begin! Right, okay, Cody. Cody is a blonde boy. We know that he's a blonde boy, and that has been the secret of his success. You know why? Look at all the great blonde boys of his generation. We had Dusty Rhodes. We had Goldust. Both blonde boys. You know what the blonde boys did? They won belts. Look at all the times that Cody won a significant belt outside of the company. It was because he was a blonde boy. Now, cut to Kenny Omega. Kenny Omega. Who is Kenny Omega? He is the typical blonde boy. Kenny Omega, former IWGP Heavyweight Champion, Intercontinental Champion. And how were both of those achieved? Through having blonde hair. So we cut to the backstage area. We see Cody Rhodes applying some nice, perfectly fine, dyed blonde hair. It isn't working. It's not working as he places it through his locks. Then he notices something. His hair dye was stolen. But where? The coming weeks go on. Cody now dyed dark brown hair, natural hair color. He starts losing to significant matches. Lance Archer, Sammy Guevara, FTR. All of these people who he has had some sort of disagreement with. Even Sean Spears. Sean Spears! And then it is discovered. He sees Kenny in the back. He sees it. It is everything that you think it is. It's Cody's blonde hair dye. And who is applying it? It's Kenny Omega. They start getting in a dispute. They start brawling through the backstage area as people try to block them off, because both of them know that blonde hair gave them the power. It gave them the strength. It made them world champions. And they both realized in this kerfuffle, in the coming weeks of promo after promo after promo again, that neither of them can have blonde hair together. Otherwise, it will break the time-space continuum of blonde hair, because blonde boys are doing what blonde boys do, and both of them need the titles. They need the strength. See, Kenny Omega's hair has gotten darker and darker as the tag title reign has gone on, and he has started losing his powers. So then, it is settled. At the next pay-per-view, I believe it's Full Gear, Cody versus Kenny in a hair versus hair match for the custody of their blonde hair dye. Of course, it's in a ladder match, and because Kenny Omega is a smart, super mega angel boy, they agree on a stipulation in their contract signing that Randy Rhodes shall be propelled in a shark cage. Why a shark cage, you may ask? Because Kenny believes in Final Fantasies, he believes in V-triggers, and he believes that Cody, what he fears more than the lack of his blonde hair, is the danger of his wife. So the match begins. Brandy, propelled with the blonde hair dye in the shark cage. They have their match. They brawl. They fight. And they go over tope suicidas, suicide dives, hairspray being fired over and over again in their eyes, in their faces. blocking each other, hurting each other for the sake of a single hair dye. The things that have defined and changed both men's careers. What will they do without their blonde hair dye? God damn it! So when the situation is grander, American nightmares are fought. Cody hits the crossroads on Kenny Omega, knocking him prone, countering the one-winged angel and the V-trigger with his own moves. Disaster kicks, dashing Cody Rhodes moves, and of course, he does a V-trigger of his own, climbing the ladder and grabbing his hair dye and his wife. And thus, at the end of this feud, reapplying his hair dye, he goes from more than an American dream and an American nightmare, and more dashing than he'd ever been before, leaving the stars in their dust. Cody looks to Brandy as Brandy applies his blonde hair dye, and he says to himself, I may not be the American dream, but to others from here on, I'll be an American nightmare. And that, my friend and family, is dying of beautiful, beautiful blonde boy, because he is a prince of wrestling. Well, that got weird.